Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity and practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to the Frame Mindset Podcast. My name is Constant Books. In this episode, we talk about 95, week 40, which will be week 3 of this new phase. Like I say, a new department. And what happened was, I passed the first test on the first try, so that was great. But now, going to a new week, I have another test again. So that so that's how this training gonna be. Test until. So you just don't know. So every week is another suspense. Another week, another suspense. So with that first part, the first one, and what I guess what skill this 9 to 5 will kind of teach me is how to kind of practice how to study and properly take notes and understand knowledge quickly. Because what happens that if you listen to the podcast in the 9 to 5 experience, the business world, it's really fast. You have to be able to pick up this knowledge quickly. And what happens is that if I can just master that in my field, if I try to reach that next level, then it will be able for me to actually be more. I could actually get a higher score on that another level because that was not one of my skill set, learning knowledge quickly on a deadline. I was able to learn knowledge quickly, but now I was just a person but like, if I don't learn it, but no one actually need to learn it because if you don't know it, you're basically a liability. It's a different kind of situation. I kind of develop a different skill, and it's one of those weird things again in the working world where it's bad. It's a bad way to do things. Going through that process, it's really a bad way to do it. But it's like, but for me, kinda, it's a good practice for me because I feel that if I could actually go through that phase, it would kind of build up my brain knowledge, brain capacity more, and then maybe I could find a better way of doing it. But you have to actually go through the way that you're giving now before you actually think about a better way. So it does. I guess that's one of the skills, learning knowledge quickly and how to apply it and how to study and stuff like that. Because what happens is that we just basically finish one week and go into the next week. We just this next test I'm less prepared for than the one before. The one before, due to delay, I had more time to actually grasp the concept. No, due to the delay and the time we did the first test, the time between learning new content and a new exam is pretty shorter. So this one will be kind of the real first test. Like, okay, so yeah, that's it. So that's basically for for, now, for that part. And the next thing also was um a change in the department also caused a change in supervisor again. I know that's something that's a great something I talk about in one of the previous episode, chemistry. Building rapport with the person, your supervisor. You deal with what happens now, a new supervisor with in a different department. So it's different rules. It's a more serious environment, just like how I mentioned the science world would be. And so you're dealing with a more serious person with which is more strict on their policy and stuff. So you know it's like that change. You have to be able to account to that change, and most people will be like, and you have to know to actually submit to those changes. So that okay, you know you have to actually be the follower before you can be a leader. You can't out there trying to be at the top if you don't fully understand the bottom. So that's one of the next things as well that I'm learning how to actually adjust to a new change of a personality to deal with when you try to contend with so that's something else. Hmm. And uh what else was this week they also mentioned another trip that the company wanted to go on, but I never actually accepted this time, and due to the rain it was kind of, I guess, maybe a smart move not to take it now, because like I said, I have the test the next week, so basically I have to just basically be studying, try to gather as much knowledge as can for the next test. Well, it's one of those things where seeing that trip now, I kind of understand it better being in the change of department. Because what happens is that if you build a successful company, you won't actually be able to deal with. And it's one also that, perspective, university and all those school, like kind of gave me the better understanding now why you have those other extracurricular activities. That way it actually build, bring the company people together, because when you're in your department, different separate department working, you're basically on a normal day you only deal with that person in your aisle, and maybe at a lunchtime maybe deal with few person outside of your aisle and such. So that things like staff party, trip and stuff like that, that way to actually get people out of departments, basically interact and stuff. So I kind of guess I understand it that thing now. You know, when you actually understand the use of it, then you can actually apply it better. So what else was back to school stuff, because if you may not realize it, September is approaching, so there's new children going to school. So the company had some back to school stuff, and that's something else I have to think about. If you're building a company, you're going to be employing all kind of people with children, parents, and stuff like that. So you have to actually really think about that. And it's it's one of those things. That's the thing about life. You're going to coach. Going to be the kid, and then now you're the grown. That's another line taken from our dancer artist again. I used to be the kid. Now I'm the grown. So I see the kid side, and then now I see the other side as well. So this is one of those phases where you can basically influence people to go down a better path by you making better decisions. You can um kind of make as much children go down the right path as possible. That could be your contribution just by you making a smarter decision in your grown world, could influence new set of children coming up now. It may not be, so that could be say, okay, you make selfishly making your way a better out of poverty, could influence, and doing it the right way. Just influence a new children to say, okay, I can follow this path and stuff, and then boom. So that's I guess that's one of the next thing about the new being in the new generation and getting older and stuff, can influence the generation to be go the right way and the wrong way. And the thing about it is that when you're younger, you learn about the history and about the right way. Those who took the right path and those who took the wrong path. And the thing about that is all of it is subjective. That's the thing about history, it's subjective. When a war happens, the war consists of two sides. So whoever wins or such is all subjective. If you're the children of the person that lost, or the children of the person that won it, is something. It's something. But one of those things you have to think about as well. You have to be one of the challenge you're being asked to grow is to be as have objective mind to try to progress the human race, push it forward. You have to be an objective mind. That's one thing I know the mindset podcast. Get your mind out of having an objective mind to see, okay, the war was bad in general, so you're both wrong. So you have to be objective like that to say, okay, you're both wrong, but this is what I'm gonna do to push myself forward. So that's all you have to actually look at it, and then when you make that decision now, and then boom, your decision be a positive one. When they make look back at the history and stuff like that, and mention the war, you don't mention this one person, be like, bro, this one person took a different part, and look at it thing now, and then some of the kids will be like, okay, I'm gonna be that guy. Yeah, so that's how you have to look at it. That's how yeah, that's how you have to look at it. You learn from history to you in school the children going to be learn about history, and it's smart for you to actually learn from history as well to make a better path so that when they learn about your history now they learn that okay, this is a good path to take. This is a good path to take. So that's all you have to really think about it. You have to really think about it like that, your legacy and stuff. Ah, mm, yeah, so yeah, that would kind of be basically it. Going to the next week, I'm just trying to focus on get passing this second part of the test, and see if I can make it to the next stage. So yeah, that's basically for this episode. Thank you for listening. I look forward for the next episode. Mm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Reference or references, because that's another important thing, you know, because coming up and coming out of poverty and whatnot, one of the thing was, doing a lot of things need, um, always I say you need your network is your net worth, and there's a lot of different ways of saying that. You know what? That's a clean way of saying it. That's the thing. One thing I realized to really increase in your net worth or your move out of stuff references, you need good people who can actually be either character references or different uh, references for you to open doors that you need. Certain doors need more than